and welcome to Kids Church this morning. Kids Church is going to be awesome, so I'm so glad that you're here. We're going to go right into worship, but before we do, we have to warm up. So here is our warm up for this morning. We are going to do a blinking challenge. How many times do you think you blink in one whole day? I'll give you a second to guess. I looked up the answers. Here is the number. In one day only, you blink anywhere between 14,000 and 19,000 times. That probably was a lot higher than your guess. So we're gonna set a 10-second timer and we're gonna blink as many times as possible. And you're gonna keep track of how many times, okay? All right, first of all, let's rest our eyes so we can do the best blinking ever. And on the count of 3, we'll open and start blinking. And remember, you have to count. Okay, 1, 2, 3.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Okay, I blinked 55 times. That's not very good. I thought I would blink way more than that. How many times did you blink? Did you blink over 55 times or under 55 times? Well, regardless of how fast we just blinked, let's go right into worship. Let's worship together.
Yes, I'm back. I know they brought me back for another one. Yes, I'm still here. Okay, enough. We've got to get to it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another exciting episode of Will It Float? The game where we take normal, everyday household objects and see how they hold up against water. You ready to play? Let's start with something nice and easy. A granola bar. Delicious, covered in chocolate, and then a plastic wrapping on top. Do you think it's going to float? Or do you think it's going to sink? Let's find out. Here we go. It floated! All right, there's one down. Here comes object number 2. Now we've got a potato chip. Yummy. How do you think this is gonna do? You think it's gonna float or sink? Here we go. Floating, clear as day. That's another one down. Here comes number 3. We've got some dice. 4 of them to be exact. Do you think these are gonna float or do you think they're gonna sink? Let's find out. Ooh, those sank like rocks. Next up, we've got something deliciously cheesy. It is a cheese string. Do you think a cheese string is gonna float or sink? Let's find out. It sank! It was a little iffy at the moment, but it has decidedly gone down. Next up, something for the campfire, a marshmallow. You think a marshmallow is gonna float or sink? Let's find out. It's floating! All right. Next up, for those days when you've got a little bit of bad breath, we've got some breath mints. How do you think these are gonna fare? Here we go. Floating wonderfully. Only 2 left. This next one is a crouton for a Caesar salad. You think a crouton's gonna float or sink? Let's find out. That is floating. Did you guess that one right? And last but not least, 5 jelly beans. Do you think the jelly beans are gonna float or sink? Maybe we'll just do 4 jelly beans. How about that? There we go. They sank all the way down to the bottom. Well, that's all the time we have for today. How many of them did you get right? I'll see you guys again real soon for another exciting game.
The Bible. It's 66 books of history, stories, letters, and poetry that fit together to form God's one big story. The epic adventure of how He created us and loves us so much that He made a way to rescue us. As we travel through the Bible, from Genesis to Revelation, we discover people who met God and found their lives changed forever. Now, for an amazing story inspired by the book of Philippians, chapter 4, verses 11 through 13.
We live in a time where it's really easy to communicate. In 2 seconds, I can send a text to a friend in another state or hop on a FaceTime call with my dear auntie on the other side of the world. But when the Apostle Paul was planting brand new churches, it was not a simple matter for him to stay in touch with the new believers in places he had traveled. Every letter had to be carefully handwritten and then hand-delivered. Plus, travel was often difficult and dangerous. It would take weeks, if not months, for a letter to even arrive. So whenever Paul wrote a letter, he chose the very most important things to say. Every word mattered, including these verses he wrote to the believers at the church in Philippi.
I have learned to be content no matter what happens to me. I know what it's like not to have what I need. I also know what it's like to have more than I need. I have learned the secret of being content no matter what happens. I am content whether I'm well-fed or hungry. I am content whether I have more than enough or not enough. I can do all this by the power of Christ. He gives me strength.
See, Paul wanted the Philippians and us to understand that God can help us be okay in any situation, no matter what we face. Now, I'm sure you're thinking, yeah, that's easy for Paul to say. And that was true. To start off, he was a well-to-do, well-known, respected religious leader with a lot of power. But when Paul met Jesus,
"Why are you opposing me?"
Who are you, Lord?
everything changed. Paul's new outspoken beliefs upset both the Jewish leaders who had been his friends and the Greek and Roman leaders who were afraid Paul would cause trouble. Paul himself recorded some of the crazy situations he experienced during his travels. In a letter to the Corinthians, he explained,
I have been in prison. I have suffered terrible beatings. Again and again, I almost died. 3 times, I was shipwrecked. I have been in danger from rivers and robbers. I have been in danger from my fellow Jews and in danger from Gentiles. I have been in danger in the city, in the country, and at sea. I have been in danger from people who pretended they were believers. Often I have gone without sleep. I have been hungry and thirsty.
Now, Paul truly understood what it was like to face difficult situations of every kind. In fact, when he wrote his words to the Philippians about contentment, he was under arrest and couldn't even leave the house. Now, your story is different from Paul's. If you were to tell a trusted friend what you were going through, it might sound something like this.
I've had to wear my same sneakers, even when my friend got a new pair.
I've had to live one place during the week and another on the weekend.
I've had to settle for a movie night even though I wanted a sleepover instead.
I've had to live with a cast on my arm for 2 months.
I've had to sit alone at the lunch table. I've had to miss summer camp because Dad took a job that didn't pay as much.
I've had to eat meatloaf at home when I wanted to eat out.
God knows your story. He knows all the ups and downs you face. He knows what you have and what you don't have. But no matter what happens, God loves you. He's given his only son, Jesus, to make a way to live with him forever. He's provided everything you need to choose contentment. As Paul reminds us, I have learned to be content no matter what happens to me. I am content whether I have more than enough or not enough. I can do all this by the power of Christ. He gives me strength.
Hey everybody, I'm in my chair, and right here is our suitcase. Now every week we look inside this suitcase, and there's usually something in here that helps us remember the bottom line for today. Do you remember the bottom line? It's that God can help us be content. What do you think would be an object that could help us remember to be content? Let's see. Oh, it's a book. This is a book from my bookshelf. It says Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. Have you heard of this book before? It's very, very famous. And I have this book on my shelf, and I have it facing forward because I'm very proud of it. I really like books. Pastor Jenna loves telling people that. But you know what? Whenever I'm at a bookstore, I'll always find another version of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland because it's such a famous book that they publish it again and again, and they'll publish it with different covers, different sizes. Sometimes it'll be a paperback or sometimes it'll be a hardcover. And even though I have this copy, sometimes when I'm at a bookstore and I see another version, I think, ooh, I like that version so much more than this version. I should get that one instead. But you know what? Whenever I get home and back to this book, I remember this book has the same words inside it as any of those other books does. And even though this book might not look the same as some of those other ones, I'm content with the one that I have. This is a book that I like, and I'm glad that I get to hold on to it. And in the same way, we're going to see things that maybe we really like, but maybe we don't need. Either because we already have them, or maybe because we just don't need it yet. And that's totally okay. Maybe there's some things in your house that you like them, but you want to get something else. But right now, the thing that you have is something that God has given you. And I think that's really cool. I'll see you guys again next week, and we'll see what else is in the suitcase.
Now it's time for...
Reveal the question.
Let's open our mail and see what question there is for us this morning. Here's what we're answering together. Does being content mean being happy all the time? I have the perfect example of what it means to be content. So on Christmas, what's the best gift you've ever got? I'll give you a second to think about it. All right, I'm sure it was awesome. Now, what was the worst gift you ever got on Christmas? One you didn't really like very much. Did you think of one? So my worst gift ever was actually a garbage can. I opened a gift on Christmas morning and it was a little yellow garbage can about this big for my room. Now, do you think when I opened that garbage can, I was so excited and so content with the gift that I got? Or I kind of thought, what on earth am I supposed to do with this little garbage can? Well, it was the second one. I didn't ask for a garbage can. I didn't need a garbage can. And I didn't want a garbage can for Christmas. But that's what my parents got me as one of my gifts that year. Now, after Christmas was over, I likely wasn't very content with what I got. So does being content mean being happy all the time? Well, it doesn't mean that we just have to fake it always and pretend, oh, this is the best gift ever, and make it up. But being content means there's always a reason to be thankful for something. So sure, the garbage can wasn't on the top of my Christmas gift that year, but it was still a nice thought that my parents thought that I would like it. And I had a desk in my room, so they thought maybe if I was doing some homework, I could use that little garbage can. And it was yellow, so it was actually a cute color. So yes, it wasn't my favorite gift, but I could still be thankful that at least I got a gift, and that I was blessed enough to have parents that love me and bought me something. So even though we might not be overly happy when stuff happens, we can always be thankful, and that's choosing to be content no matter what happens. Well, that's it for Matt. What on earth are you doing?
I'm doing the blinking challenge and trying to blink real fast.
How many times do you have?
106.
Yeah, no way, not possible.
Yep.
We already know we did the blinking challenge already. I'm amazing. All right, well, hope you enjoyed Kids Church. See you next week. Bye.
Bye, guys.